Good morning, everybody. Some of you may have heard of this new network called UK 100, which is bringing together local councils and metropolitan authorities in the UK to implement Agenda 2030 and net zero policies at a local level. So this is a global plan which is being pushed centrally by the World Economic Forum, etc. National governments have put in place statutes in order to require local councils to meet so-called net zero targets, and then local councils themselves are full of councillors from the fake Conservative, Labour, Lib Dem, Green, SNP, Uniparty, who are all fully signed up to Agenda 2030 and want to put in place policies in the local plans to implement Agenda 2030 over the coming years. That will include things like low traffic neighbourhoods, so-called clean air zones or low emission zones where there will be charges to drive your cars in towns and cities around the country, and also zoning smart cities and new developments being built according to the 15-minute neighborhood philosophy, where you won't be easily able to drive your car in and out of your neighborhood, but apparently there will be a little school, a gym, a grocery store, etc. within 15 minutes of your house, so that you don't ever need to leave your neighborhood, and you'll be discouraged from leaving your neighborhood, so you don't need to travel around so much. You can be kept essentially in what would be a big open prison. That's what they want as the future for our towns and cities. And also with that, the idea would be that some of our beautiful countryside, our prime agricultural land will be given over to wind turbines and solar panels, because they are supposed to provide all the energy that we need rather than coal, oil, gas and nuclear. So that is what they are signing up to with Agenda 2030. I'm just going to read here from the website of UK100.org, which, as I say, over 100 councils have signed up to. There's a list of the councils actually on there. I mean, I'll just read down some of them. Ada, that's in West Sussex, Bath and North East Somerset, Birmingham, Blackpool, Brent in London, Bridgend in Wales, Brighton and Hove, Bristol, Bury, Calderdale, I think that's in West Yorkshire, isn't it? Canterbury, other notable ones, Edinburgh, Exeter, Manchester, Liverpool, Stroud, Suffolk, Somerset, lots of London boroughs, Oxford, Oxfordshire, both of them, both levels there in Oxford, Norwich, Milton Keynes, and there's many others. You can read the list. I'll put a link to it in the information box. So if you live in one of those councils, your councillors have voted to implement all of these Agenda 2030 policies, and they've signed this UK 100 pledge. Now, there's over 400 councils, either at the top tier county level, etc., and district and borough councils in the UK. So not all of them have signed up to it yet. But the idea with this thing is they get a number of them, and then other councils sign up to join as well until they've got all of them captured and adhering to these agendas. Now, obviously, I'm the leader of the Heritage Party, and we are the only party that specifically have it in our manifesto that we oppose Agenda 2030. We have a new section this year in our manifesto on transport, which is where one of the areas that it's being implemented in trying to make changes to what we've always had. We've always had roads which are shared and open for everybody to go through, like whether you're a van or a car or a motorbike or a bicycle, everyone's allowed to go down any road they want to. Now they're blocking off roads for motorised vehicles and only saying you can only go down a road if you're on a bicycle, which is disastrous for anybody who needs to drive to work, anybody who needs to care for someone and bring them their shopping, emergency vehicles, or anyone who runs a business who needs to do deliveries or needs to get access to houses. For example, they're doing work on a house or something, or they're servicing a house or a premises. This is going to make life very, very difficult for almost all businesses that need to travel, that needs to operate by traveling places to do jobs and deliver things. Now, I think a lot of this is that there are people who pay lip service to the Equality Act, but then completely disregard the needs of elderly people and disabled people by doing this. When I was on the London Assembly, you point this out to them, and they just wouldn't register. They'd be like, "Well, okay, we're going to do it anyway," and that's all that they could answer, because it's the right thing to do for the planet, which is, completely not because the right thing to do, because this is a problem that doesn't exist. The carbon dioxide is not a problem, but they are making it into a problem with all of this modelling that they do, which is not based on any empirical observation. Anyway, this UK 100 site has a membership pledge, so these councils that have signed up to it and the councillors that have signed up to it have signed this pledge. I'm just going to read it so you can see what it says. It says, as local leaders across the UK, we recognise our responsibility to tackle the climate emergency and take bold action towards net zero. Well, the thing about that, the problem with that very first sentence is that there isn't a climate emergency. So this again is saying something that doesn't exist, and then making policies for a problem to solve a problem that doesn't exist. And then you get into all kinds of financial, social trouble, and you ruin your neighborhoods, you ruin your country for something that doesn't actually isn't a problem at all. But there you go. This is the insanity of it all. We will continue to lead the UK's response to climate change, acting sooner than the government's goal by making substantial progress within the next decade to deliver net zero. We will use our experience and achievements to advocate to the UK government in order to accelerate the delivery of ambitious local climate action. With greater powers and funding, we would go further. So the government itself, the fake Conservatives, have already said that they want to ban new petrol and diesel cars from 2030. That's only 7 years away. And these guys here, they say they want to go faster than that and implementing stuff now and by 2025 and so on, only 2 years away. And we see that in Oxfordshire County Council are going to implement this 15-minute neighbourhood zoning to fine you and stop you from travelling your car around your own city this year. And other councils have already gone ahead with these low emission zones, and they're doing it this year, like Sadiq Khan in London. The Greater London Authority signed up to this, and he's bringing in this ULEZ charge against the wishes of the people in London, who responded overwhelmingly in the consultation to say they didn't want the ULEZ expansion going all the way up to the boundaries of Greater London. But he's going to do it anyway, and just completely disregarding the people of London who said they don't want it. So this is how they are going quicker than even the government, which is already, running our country down with managed decline. So that it carries on. We commit to do everything within our power and influence to rapidly reduce our greenhouse gas emissions and work with our residents and businesses to bring our wider community's emissions in line with net zero as soon as possible. Now, the only way they can do that is to set up what they call decentralized energy networks, either through wind turbines or solar panels or heat pumps. And when I was on the London Assembly, there was this terrible scheme being put in Sutton Borough Council, where they set up an energy company to pump heat from not a landfill site, things that burn, an incinerator, and get the energy from the incinerator and then use it to heat water and pump the hot water to the homes of a few hundred homes in the area. And the thing is, the finances of this got way out of control, and it's like blown a hole in their budget because it just is not financially viable, and it doesn't produce, that much energy. And it would be better for the homes if they were connected to the central grid, but some of them don't have a choice because they were connected up to this decentralized grid and then got higher energy prices. So, they're taking away people's choice of how they get their energy, and then blowing a massive financial hole in their budgets with this, because the finances of these things just simply atrocious. Anyway, so this thing carries on. We pledge to understand our impact on climate change, prioritize where action needs to be taken, and monitor progress towards our goals. We will reduce our emissions at source and limit the use of carbon offsets as part of the global effort to avoid the worst impacts of climate change. So, some of these virtue signalers who fly around the world in their private jets, they say, well, that's okay because I'm paying £10,000 to do carbon offsetting, which is a complete sham anyway. But what these guys are saying here, they're not going to do so much carbon offsetting for net zero, because clearly that doesn't work. You chop down a tree and you plant a sapling, it doesn't make up for all the carbon dioxide that a mature tree would take out of the atmosphere. It's just a complete sham and scam. But what that means is they will have to do even more measures, put in place more measures to make life difficult for people to drive their cars, and put more solar panels all over the place and so on. So it just means they're going to accelerate the disaster to our way of life and our economy that will come from this. So then it says, we are closer to the people who live and work in our communities, so we have a better understanding of their needs. This means we can collaborate with them to build consensus for the solutions we need to transition to a net zero society that delivers multiple benefits and is fair, just, and works for everyone. I mean, that's quite chilling, because it's saying they're going to try to change your mind and build a consensus. So even if you don't agree with this now, they're going to educate you into why this is the best thing. And even if you don't agree with it, they're going to think that they're going to be able to change your mind anyway, and show you that these disastrous plans to deconstruct our energy system that's always worked, and change how our society is put together and functions, with like beautiful old buildings in the center, roads that everybody can use, to a place where people will be restricted in their own neighborhoods. And they're going to tell us why this is good. And they also think they're going to be able to get us to agree with this one way or another, with some kind of propaganda or programming. That's essentially what is behind that paragraph, which is quite chilling. Now, I know this is all Orwellian and disastrous, and it needs to be stopped. And we have a way to stop it, because there are elections this year in most councils in England and all councils in Northern Ireland. So if you don't want this, now is the time to step up, get involved in politics, even if you've never been involved in it before, and put yourself forward to stand as a councillor, to stand against Agenda 2030 and the plans of the globalists to change our society into a controlled, surveilled, Orwellian nightmare. We don't want that. We can stay free. But it needs thousands of people to step up now and stand. You can join me in the Heritage Party, because we are, as I said, the only party that is specifically against Agenda 2030, net zero, climate alarmism. There is no climate emergency, is what we recognise. This is all just propaganda to change our way of life, destroy our way of life, and we need to stop it. So please join me in the Heritage Party. You can do that at heritageparty.org. If you think you got what it takes to be a candidate, do write in, fill in our candidate application form, and put you in touch with our local branches, and then we can get candidates standing, and hopefully with enough of us we can take control of these councils, get them out of this pledge to UK 100, and start refocusing the councils on doing what the people really want, rather than doing the bidding of the globalists who want to destroy our society. Thanks for listening, everyone. Please do give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, join the Heritage Party on heritageparty.org. God bless you all.